Recording. Perfect. Okay, so hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. This is the presentation that I'm doing today. I called it Get Out of Your Own Way, and it's kind of a culmination of stuff that I've been studying, learning, teaching for quite some time. So basically, the genesis of this whole thing was that when I started in the real estate business and in lots of other things, I didn't know what the heck to do. And I would try things that people told me to try, and it wasn't working, or it was mildly working. And then I had my first gateway drug into mindset, and it changed everything for me. And I've been a constant student of it every single day. And it's a progression. And so I'm no expert, and it is a process. There's never an answer that just says do this and everything's fixed. It's a lifetime process. But I hope that today some of the tips that I have for you are going to help you get over some hurdles and get closer to breaking through and achieving what you want to achieve. So I am going to pull up my little slideshow and get started. And I'm super informal. So if I would just ask that you mute yourself so that there's no background noise. And then if you need to have a question, just raise your Zoom hand and then I can unmute you, because that way I'll see you at the top of my screen. And you guys are letting people in, they're still coming in. So I don't want to have to pay attention anymore. Okay, so here we go. So first of all, I'm Janis, and thank you, Donna, for the introduction. And I am a broker in PA and New Jersey. And I also have a school, and I kind of just do real estate all the time, but I love mindset. And I put mindset and real estate together, although you could use this mindset in any part of your business. But a lot of times we realize that there's something we want, there's something we want to achieve, but it's not happening even though we're doing all the things. So I want you to know, first of all, that no matter what, you are unstoppable. And I'm going to warn you right now, it's a really feel-goody, cheesy kind of hokey presentation. So if it makes you cringe, I'm warning you now to get ready and only take what feels right to you. You don't have to do all the things, but it's a really positive, upbeat slideshow, because that's what this is all about. So you are unstoppable. And if there's anything that you think you can't do, you're probably the one standing in your own way. And we're going to talk about 5 simple ways to get out of your own damn way today so that you can get to what your goal is. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to think of a goal, something that you're trying to achieve and that you haven't quite yet hit. And if you're feeling brave, I would love for you to share it in the chat, because once you put it out there, one of my money mindset mentors, Denise Duffield Thomas, says, like farts, goals are better out than in. And a lot of people say to you, or we hear this limiting belief of, don't say what you want or it won't come true. Don't tell people what you're going to do, because then you just might be disappointed. And I believe in the absolute opposite of that. I believe that if you have a goal, you declare it to yourself and to the universe, and then it's out there, and then you're on the path to making it happen. So if anybody has a goal and you want to put it in there, that would be great. If not, at least think of a goal in mind so that you can start applying these 5 little techniques towards achieving what your goal is. So I see nobody brave in the chat. Nobody. All right, I'm going to put in what mine is, because no one wants to be the first one at the party. There we go. Oh, there we go. First, sell my first house in May. Excellent. We can do that. What is it? March, April, May. No, not a problem whatsoever. That can happen. Sell more houses this year than I did last year. Excellent. Be specific. The universe likes specificity. So pick a number. You don't have to put it in the chat, but pick a number and set a goal, and you will be closer to making it happen. All right. 1 transaction a month. Love it. Make your 1 transaction, but be specific again, because your 1 transaction could be like a $600 a month rental, which there's no shame in that, but that's not going to put food on the table. So be more specific with the universe. All right, I'm going to go back and look at this chats, but the first thing I want to say is that mindset is everything. And someone told me this before and I didn't believe it. I wanted to believe it, but I didn't believe it. And then I started doing this work and now I 100% firmly believe it. So we're going to talk about mindset today. And what I want to put out there is that mindset is super important, but it also has to be coupled with action. So I'm not one of those people, even though I know law of attraction is real and I believe in it, I'm not one of those people that says you just sit there and meditate and then unicorns drop down from the sky with money bags. It's like you get this inspiration, you get this idea, and then you have to act on it. So it's a combination of mindset and action. So we're going to talk about how to get these things done, but you have to remember that mindset is everything. It starts with everything. Whatever follows I am is going to come looking for you. And what that means is your words matter, whether you say them to yourself or you say them out loud or you type them in a text. Whatever follows I am is going to come looking for you. I am broke. Guess what? You're going to be broke. I am weak. I am lazy. I am stupid. Whatever you say is going to come after you. And that's because of your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So for those of you who have seen this little iceberg thing, what it's saying is that your conscious mind takes care of about 5% of what goes on. You see, and your conscious mind controls what it thinks it's controlling everything, but it's really only controlling about 5%. Your subconscious mind is controlling 95% of what happens in your life. And you can't even see that because it's below the surface. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between them. And then the 5 things we're going to do today are to reprogram your subconscious mind. So your conscious mind is where you process all of your information. It's where you make judgments, obsess, analyze. Do any of you do this to yourself? You judge yourself, obsess about things, or analyze, criticize, and worry. These are all the things in the forefront of our brain. They're our conscious mind. And when we pay attention to our conscious mind, and we think that if we tell ourselves something in our conscious mind, it's going to happen, we're wrong, because that only controls 5% of what happens. What we need to do is go into our subconscious mind. So our subconscious mind is our non-analytical mind. And the conscious mind doesn't develop until about puberty, but the subconscious mind is fully developed right at birth. And so there's no judgment. It's all about feeling. It's all about instincts. It believes everything. And that's why the statement, whatever follows I am is coming after you, is so important, because your subconscious mind believes everything. So if you say, I'm lazy, I'm stupid, I'm broke, your subconscious mind is going to believe that, and then it's going to act as if. But if you tell it something different, if you reprogram it to believe that you are wealthy, that you are competent, that you are love, that you are joy, it's going to start to act that way. It also has no filter. It doesn't know the difference between yes and no, and it doesn't know the difference between true and false. And that's why it's so fun to reprogram your subconscious mind, and you get such amazing results. Now, Steve Martin had this quote that I love: the conscious mind is the editor and the subconscious mind is the writer. And if you think about that, it's just so brilliant, because it explains everything. Your subconscious mind is the one that's writing the story of your life. And then the conscious mind is the one that stops you and says, nope, you can't do that. I know you want to have a vacation home in Greece. I know you want to do 1 transaction a month, but that's not going to happen because you're broke, you're lazy, you're this, you're that. Now, we're going to talk 5 easy steps today that you can use to help reprogram your subconscious mind. And they're simple: decluttering, gratitude, EFT tapping, meditating, and affirmations. So we're going to go over each one of them. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to jump in. So we're going to start with my favorite, decluttering. Now, decluttering may seem like something that makes no sense having to do with your conscious or subconscious mind, but I cannot even tell you how important it is to declutter and how fast it makes everything change. So there's two types of decluttering. There's physically decluttering, like decluttering your space, cleaning out a drawer, a closet, a shelf, or even your email. And then there's energetically decluttering, which is letting go of things. And full disclosure, today's my mother's, or was my mother's birthday. And my mother passed away a long time ago, and we were not close. She was not the greatest person in the world, and we had a really tumultuous relationship. And today, what I did in the morning was I energetically decluttered any animosity I still had towards my mother. And when you energetically declutter, it's not for the person. It's like when they say forgive, it's not for her, she's long gone. It's for me, because when I let go of that energetic stuff that's weighing me down, any kind of bad feelings, hate, anger, disappointment, when I let go of that, then I'm able to change my energy and let other good things come in. So decluttering does three really important things. One, it clears space. So when you do it physically, when you declutter space, it helps you find stuff. It helps you feel more organized. It helps you realize your potential, and it helps you think clearer. Does anyone ever love going on vacation just because you get to stay in a hotel and not have any crap around? Do you notice how you can think clearer when you're at a hotel, when you walk a little lighter, when you think a little clearer, when you're a little bit happier, a little more joyful? A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that there's no junk around. There's nothing weighing you down, and it makes you feel more joyful. The other thing it does when you declutter is it changes your frequency. So energetically, like what I did with my mother this morning, it changed my vibration. And when I put good vibration, positive, high vibration out into the world, law of attraction brings better things back to me. And so energetically decluttering anything clears space and raises your frequency. The other thing is the broken windows theory. So if you're familiar with that theory at all, it's based on two sociologists. I think it was back in the 70s, and they parked a car out on the street in like a high crime-ish kind of neighborhood, and they watched it. And they wanted to see what people would do to it, vandalism wise, and nothing happened to it. So then what they did is they went and they broke one of the windows. And then within like 2 days, the whole entire car was destroyed, basically sitting there, a frame on cinder blocks. And so what they came up with, their theory about broken windows, is that if there's one broken window, it starts inviting vandalism, it starts inviting people to destroy it, to make graffiti, theft, all that kind of stuff. And this theory was used in lots of places, including the New York subway system, because back, I think it was in the 80s, all the subway cars were full of graffiti. People were jumping the turnstile, peeing in the subway stations. It was mayhem. And so what they did was they took all of the trains out of the station into the yard, and every single night they washed them and took all the graffiti off and then sent them back. And they did this every single day until eventually there was no more graffiti. They put these mini police stations inside the subway stations. And every time someone jumped the turnstile, they would arrest them like they do at the Eagles game when you get caught drinking. They give you a ticket and they arrest you right there. They have like a little substation. And as they started doing this and cleaning up the subway, this behavior all but ceased. It just didn't happen anymore. And so when we take this broken windows theory and apply it to our own life by decluttering, then we start to notice that we act differently, right? We take care of things. And my favorite example is if you have a cleaning person, or you even do cleaning yourself, and you do it all at once in one day, like the magic of a cleaning person. When you come home after the cleaning person is there, now you're really careful. If you leave a ring on the table from your coffee, you wipe it up real fast. If you drop a crumb on the floor, you pick it up real fast. But the day before the cleaning person comes, it's like you're throwing crap all over the place because it already looks a mess. And so when you start decluttering your space, then you start decluttering your whole entire life, and you start acting different and treating yourself better and making better decisions that are going to lead you closer to your goals. So anytime you're feeling stuck, one of the simplest things I do to get me unstuck is clean up one freaking thing. I declutter one space, one closet, one drawer, one shelf, or get rid of 500 emails, just delete, 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 and it clears space and it changes things like that. It's super fast, super easy, and free. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is gratitude. And I put this woman on here because I just absolutely love the way she smiles. We're going to watch it again because you might not watch it. She starts off, and I imagine her thinking about being grateful, and you just see the way her whole entire face, her whole body, everything changes. Gratitude is the fastest path towards manifestation. When you're in a state of gratitude, you are in a state of receivership. If you are feeling grateful, you cannot be negative about anything. Now, when I first heard that I should start practicing gratitude, I thought it was the cheesiest, most religious, and nothing against religion, but I don't do organized religion. So that really turned me off. I heard the word gratitude, and it was such a heavy, loaded word for me that I resisted it. And then I had a realization, and gratitude to me means this. This is a perfect example. I was sick, not COVID sick, just like the flu or something. And I was lying in bed, and I just felt like crap. And there was a pile of dirty laundry in the corner. And I remember looking at it, and I remember just wishing that I felt good enough to get up and do the laundry. I was missing the fact that I could get up and do laundry because I missed being healthy. I missed feeling good so much that all I wanted to do was laundry. So now I look at that as gratitude, because when I'm healthy, I'm miserable about doing the laundry. I don't want to do it. But then I think back to the day that I was lying in bed, and all I wanted was to be able to do the laundry. So now I can say, okay, when I'm doing the laundry, instead of hating the laundry, I'm grateful that I feel healthy enough to get up and do the laundry. And it might seem like a silly, inconsequential thing. It might seem cheesy, hokey, but think of the alternative. Think about the people who get into a near-death experience, or God forbid, lose a loved one or hit rock bottom, and then they become grateful. Then they say, now I realize how great everything was. Well, do you want to be the person that has to hit rock bottom in order to be grateful? Do you want to be the person that has to lose everything in order to get your act together and change the way you feel so that good things can come? I don't want to be that person. I never want to hit rock bottom. It's not on my bucket list to hit rock bottom. So I want to practice gratitude on the daily. And here's how I do it. There are a few ways that you can do it. And one is a gratitude journal. So we all are busy. We all have lots to do. So the last thing that I want to do is to dump more stuff for you on your to-do list and burden you. But if you just pick and choose some of these things that feel good, I like to think of it as a buffet of modalities that help me when I'm feeling stuck. And I just pick and choose when it feels right. So gratitude journal is one of the things, and writing or journaling always makes me feel better. And if I just list a few things each day that I'm grateful for, it shifts my vibration, it shifts my frequency, and I start smiling like the woman in the previous slide. And that changes everything. The other one is this thing called magical morning practice. So there's a woman I follow, she's a coach, and she started this magical morning practice, and I freaking love it. What you do is you find a partner, and you can find a partner right in the Zoom if you want to. You can put it in the chat. You find a partner, and each morning you just do a little voice memo, 30 seconds or a minute, and you just talk about a couple of things that you're grateful for, and you send it to each other. And the beautiful thing about doing this is that you're saying it every day, and you have an accountability partner. And now you're not only saying what you're grateful for, so you're feeling it, but then you're listening to what the other person says, so you're feeling it again. And it's just, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. You're just going to exponentially be grateful. And gratitude, even if you don't want to do a journal, even if you don't want to do the magical morning practice, just doing the 30-second rule, being grateful for 30 seconds before you get out of bed every day, literally 30 seconds, because how many of you roll over and the first thing you do is pick up your phone and start scrolling? Anyone? Because that's really, really, really bad, especially if you start seeing the news and people getting murdered and people stealing packages. That's the favorite thing for Nextdoor, is on the Nextdoor app, people stealing packages and people just causing mayhem and vandalism. It just sets the tone for the day. But if instead you just dedicate 30 seconds, which we all have 30 seconds, to just listing a few things in your mind that you're grateful for. And if you can't think of anything, you can always default to the one that says, I just opened my eyes. Because that's something to be grateful for every day. So you can use any one or all three of these practices, and gratitude is a super amazing foundation to start your day and get yourself out of your own way. Now, this one, we're going to take a few minutes on, we're going to do a demonstration. I love this one. This is called EFT Tapping, and it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So what tapping is tapping is a way that we can pattern interrupt. So if you are someone who says things to yourself like sabotaging beliefs, sabotaging behaviors, limiting beliefs, like I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm not going to get the listing, they're not going to want to buy, it's not going to happen. If you start spiraling, if you have anxiety, if you have fear, if you're nervous, you can use EFT tapping to help you break that pattern. And it's like magic. So what EFT tapping does is it works on your acupressure points. So if you're familiar, you've heard of acupuncture. That's where you get the little needles. I love acupuncture. I cannot recommend it highly enough. This is a little bit different, but it's the same idea. So instead of getting needles, you're using pressure and you're tapping the acupressure points on your body. And as you're doing the acupressure points, which I'm going to demonstrate for you right here, as you're tapping on the acupressure points, you're saying what you're feeling anxious about, and then you're shifting it around to change the pattern so that it feels better. So I want everybody to, I'm going to stop the screen share for a second, and we're going to do a quick little bit of EFT tapping. And you don't have to put your camera on if you don't want to, but this is harmless. It cannot hurt you, and it can only help, and you'll feel it immediately. One thing that it can cause is it can cause a lot of yawning. It can cause burping, and it makes you thirsty. So I definitely recommend that you have some water when you do it. And I'm going to show you the order that I do it. And then I'm also going to show you a practitioner who does it, which you can follow him on YouTube. And he has scripts for every single thing. We're just going to do a quick, simple one. And we're going to talk about who's got a fear that they want to put in the chat that we could talk about, a fear or an anxiety. Money. We want to talk about money fears. What do we want to talk about? Anyone? Somewhere houses in the book, rental properties. I'm a millionaire. I love it, Donna. Decluttering. Crazy drivers in Philadelphia, how they make you feel. No longer check my phone. So money is a huge anxiety for me. I think money, money, money. Okay, let's do money. All right, so we're going to do money. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off, and all you have to do is follow me. We're going to start off on this point right here, sometimes called the karate chop. So you're going to start off with the karate chop, and this is the setup, and we're just going to talk a little bit about money, and then we're going to go through the tapping points, and let's see how he feels. Take a breath. Okay. I worry about money. So I say it, and then you repeat it after me. I worry about money. I worry all the time about money. There's never enough money. No matter how hard I work, I'm always worried about paying the bills. I see other people making money, but there's something wrong with me because I'm not making as much money. I'm constantly struggling. I feel like I'm broken. What the hell is wrong with me? I have this real estate license in my pocket. I see other people going to settlement all the time. I see everybody else's name on signs with listings. And I'm sitting here tapping on my hand. What the hell is wrong with me? I am so tired of not making enough money. I am so tired of feeling broke all the time. Something's got to change. Okay, so now you're going to take a deep breath, hold it at the top, let it out. Take a drink of water if you have any with you. Or coffee. All right, and now we're going to go into the round of tapping and we're going to do the pattern interrupter. So you're going to follow me. We're going to start at the top of our head. Money causes me anxiety. It's the first thing I think of when I wake up in the morning. Right here on the inside of the eyebrows. It's the first thing I think of when I wake up in the morning. It consumes my thoughts all day long. I'm exhausted from thinking about money. I feel like I'm missing my life because all I do is worry about paying the bills. I just want to breathe. I just want money to flow to me. And then right here where your bra strap would be, under your arm, I just want it to be easy. But it's so difficult. I'm tired. I think I'm doing it wrong. Why is the business not coming? I see other agents killing it. I do all the things I'm supposed to do. I try hard every single day, but I just feel stuck. I see agents investing. I see them having passive income. Sorry, if you go out of order, it's not the end of the world. I see them having passive income. And I'm late on my bills. I'm telling people to buy houses, but I can't even get one because my credit sucks. I'm so embarrassed. There's got to be a better way. I'm determined to change the way I deal with money. So even though money doesn't flow to me easily, and even though there's never enough at the end of the month, I deeply and completely love and forgive and accept myself. And I am determined to be free from this fear and this anxiety about money. I am determined to live a free and carefree life and stop being a slave to money. Even though right now my bank account has tumbleweeds blowing through it, and even though I have no deals in my pipeline, I deeply and completely love and forgive and accept myself. And I know that once I'm able to breathe and let go of this anxiety about money, that my life will feel good and I will be able to help people and I will be able to help myself. So today I declare to the universe that money is my friend, that money flows to me easily and joyfully, and that I am not broken. So from today forward, I heal my relationship with money. I vow to enjoy every moment and be at peace with my bank account. And even though this hasn't happened yet, I know it's in my future. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And so it is. Take a deep breath in, hold it, let it out. And there it is. And have a drink of water. Did anyone feel anything? Did anyone yawn? Did anyone burp? Did anyone fart? Does anyone feel better than they did when they started? You're very welcome. I'm glad that I got to introduce you to tapping. There are scripts and you feel better, amazing. One of the things about money and any kind of anxiety, more clear-headed, relaxed, excellent, excellent. Tapping is one of the best modalities I've ever learned in my life, and it's free and you can do it anywhere you want. You can go sit in a room and no one's looking and you can tap. I've tapped in public. You can, if you're somewhere where you can't get away or you're embarrassed and you can't tap, you can even just tap a point, or you could even just go like this, just anything, and say it in your head, and it works all the time. If you're ever at the point where you're really, really super anxious about anything, tapping will take you down a notch so that you can be clear-headed. I have been in the point where I have had such money troubles that I literally couldn't breathe. I couldn't focus. There were nights when I wish that I would have died. I wasn't suicidal, but I wish that I would have died in my sleep, because then it would be easier for my family. It would be easier for my kids. I literally have been that bad with money. And I'm telling you that if you're feeling that anxious with money, people commit suicide over money. And this is one of the things I tell my students all the time when I'm teaching them pre-licensure and we're teaching about things like short sales. And I explain to them that they can help people, even if you're helping a homeowner, tell them to do deed in lieu and you're not making a commission, you're helping somebody out of a money jam. And it's really super important, because if anyone, and you don't have to admit it, because I know people get really shameful about money, and I think we should talk about money because we should take the stigma away from it. But when people get really shameful about money, they can't do the rest of their life. They can't talk about the rest of their life, and it paralyzes you. It paralyzed me to the point where I couldn't function. And it was until I figured out EFT tapping that could take me down a notch that I was able to calm down enough to actually do something. Because the reality is, the fear, the anxiety, the worry aren't doing you any good. And when your mind is spinning because you're trying to figure out about money, then you can't do anything else. And more importantly, you can't enjoy the moment, because in this moment is all we have. And if you can't enjoy this one precious moment, and instead you're worried about the future, and you're worried about bills that are coming, you're worried about your bank account, you're missing out on your whole entire life. So EFT tapping isn't necessarily going to bring you a pot of gold, but it's going to calm you down to the point where you can function, and then you can go ahead and do your life. And the daddy of tapping is Brad Yates. This is him. He is on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel. He has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of free tapping scripts. And he has lots of really good ones. I have one saved in my YouTube somewhere about fear of money. It is one of my absolute favorites. When I was at my absolute lowest point, I watched it and it calmed me down and made me be able to sleep. So I cannot recommend it highly enough. And there are other practitioners, but he's the best of the best. And once you start getting into tapping, you'll see plenty of others and you'll find someone that you like. Okay. All right, so that's tapping. We should have started with that one. All right, and the next one is meditating. And I should have put or pray, because meditate or pray, if you like to pray, I think prayer does the same thing. I do meditation. Now, here's the thing about meditation. I was really creeped out about it for the longest time. And I tried to do it and I couldn't do it. And I tried to do it and I couldn't do it. And then I felt like a giant failure about not being able to meditate good enough. Like it's like competitive yoga. It's so ridiculous, right? Like, how could you be competitive? I was competitive with myself. But then I had two people who I listened to help me out. And one is Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you've ever read his stuff, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, you should definitely check him out. He's amazing. And he also has a series on Gaia. It's a channel that's all like mindset stuff. And he has a series called Rewired, and you can watch that. And it talks about rewiring your brain. And he talks about meditation, and so does Abraham, Law of Attraction, Esther Hicks. So when she talks about meditation, she talks about how when she was first told to meditate, she thought it was really weird and creepy. And this is her way that she meditates. And I freaking love it because it doesn't seem woo-woo and crazy to me, and I can do this. And she says to just aim for 15 minutes a day, simply wear comfortable clothes, sit in a comfy chair, and focus on your breathing. She likes to listen to the hum of the air conditioner. I have all kinds of apps on my phone, and I've downloaded certain meditations and certain like soundscapes. A lot of people meditate to silence. I'm not one of them. If there's silence, my mind goes all over the place, like monkey mind. But if I have some sounds to listen to, then it helps me stay in the zone. So you focus on your breathing, and then your mind's going to wander. So then go back to step 3 and then repeat. And what's going to happen is your mind is going to wander, and just watch it wander and then bring it back to your breathing. There's no winning in meditation. There's no like, oh, I did it right. And now I won. And I did. There's none of that. It is just simply a way to quiet your mind. And here's what happens in meditation. In meditation, when you quiet your mind and you let your thoughts go away and you just become your breath, what happens is it allows other things to come in. It allows ideas to come in. I've meditated to the point where I've said, this happened to me just about 2 weeks ago. Before I sat down for my meditation, and I don't meditate every day. I try and meditate every day. I'm not one of those people that is like, oh yeah, I meditate every day or I can't function. I function better when I meditate, but don't make it another to-do list, item on your to-do list and then feel like a failure if you don't do it, because that defeats the whole purpose. But I promise you that when you meditate, if you're able to quiet your mind for a little bit, it's going to calm you down, sort of like tapping does. Tapping is almost meditative to me too, but meditating quiets your mind, and then it allows these little ideas to come in that turn into big ideas. So what happens is in the beginning, when I said mindset has to be coupled with action. Well, sometimes we don't know what to do. We see a situation or we see a desire or a goal or a problem, but we don't know what to do, how to get there to where we want to get to. But I have found that when I meditate, and again, if prayer works for you, prayer does the same thing. When I meditate, the ideas come. So it's not like I meditate and the solution appears. It's that I meditate and an idea appears, and then I act on the idea. It's almost like the universe taps me on the shoulder. And it's because I quiet my mind and I stop the monkey mind. Joe Dispenza, what he says is every single time you're able to quiet your mind, even for a moment, that's considered a win. And that really helped me through, because when I was trying to meditate and my mind would keep wandering, I would then beat myself up and say, I suck at meditation. But when I heard him say that all you need to do is every single time you're able to quiet your mind for a moment, that's a win. That made me feel better. It took away that self-defeating talk, and it made me be able to meditate and really get something out of it. Joe Dispenza also uses this thing called kaleidoscope, where he, and I have never been to one of his seminars yet. I plan to go to one, but he uses kaleidoscope, where he actually created this movie that's like a kaleidoscope and it kind of puts you in a trance. I've found them on YouTube where they have this meditative kind of music, And by watching that, it sort of puts you into a little trance, not a creepy trance where you're going to like, I don't know, go sleepwalk out the window or something, but just a kind of trance where it quiets your mind and allows these ideas to come. It quiets your mind and allows this inspiration to come, allows your subconscious to speak, which is the whole point of doing these things. So you can find them on YouTube and you can watch it and you can listen to the trancy music. You can also download guided meditations. You can also listen to soundscapes, explore. I have like a whole smorgasbord of them on my phone. And almost every single night I fall asleep to something. I fall asleep to affirmations. I fall asleep to these soundscapes. And it really helps get me into a relaxed, trancy space. And it helps me sleep. And sleep is really important. Now, we are at the last one, which is affirmations. And I should have put the picture of Al Franken there, because if you're all old like I am, do you remember Al Franken doing, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, I like myself, on Saturday Night Live. And we all made fun of affirmations and how cheesy they were. And they were, but they work. So let's talk about affirmations and let's talk about how they're going to help you. So some of us have what's called imposter syndrome. And I actually talked about this on my Instagram this morning. And imposter syndrome, and this is straight from Wikipedia, is a psychological occurrence in which people doubt their skills, talents, or accomplishments and have a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as frauds. So yesterday when I was polishing up these slides and editing them, and I was watching them, I was looking at them. This slide was not in there yet because I added this, because as I was doing the slides, I thought, who the freak am I? I'm not Joe Dispenza. I'm not Esther Hicks. I'm not Gabby Bernstein. Like, who am I to be giving a talk about mindset? And then I thought, you know what? That's just my limiting belief. That's my voice inside my head telling me I'm not good enough. And the reality is I am good enough, because I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be the best. I don't have to be all encompassing. All I have to do is do my best and put something out there that hopefully will help somebody. Even if it's just one thing, even if it helps you because you see it and you're like, I'm doing a webinar and the way Janis did it was bad, and now she taught me what not to do. Even if I help somebody that way, that's all I need to do. And that's all any of us need to do. And the minute I start to think I'm not good enough, now I'm sabotaging myself. And then what happens? I don't show up. And we all are victims to imposter syndrome at one point or another. And there are ways to get over that imposter syndrome, because if you don't feel good enough, if you don't feel like you're experienced enough, here's my favorite one, is you don't feel like you can go after that big listing, or you don't feel that you can work with $1 million buyer because all of your buyers have been in the $200,000 range, and like, you're not fancy enough, or you're not rich enough, or all these things we tell ourselves, then we don't make the call. Then we don't walk tall. Then we don't open our mouths and have a conversation. Then we don't show up to the event. Then we miss out on our lives because we're limiting ourselves by these beliefs that we're not good enough. And the reality is, we are all good enough. We are all born good enough. And there's nobody here in this room that's better or not as good. We're all deserving and we're all good enough. And so, yeah, you might need to practice your craft and you might need to learn some more stuff about contracts and everything. That's not what I'm talking about. We're always growing and learning, but inherently inside, for us to say we're not good enough, we need to let that go. And if we let that go, then we're able to make the call. And I recently just took a giant leap from working with $100,000 buying a shell, renovating a property buyers, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm tired. I've been doing this for a long time. And I realized one day that I'm selling 10 houses in the low price points that usually have title issues and are a pain in the butt to close, when somebody else is closing $1 million deal that's usually a lot easier, and they're making the same amount of money. And I thought, what am I doing? And I realized with some reflection and some deep diving that I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't feel like I deserved to sell $1 million houses. And the reality is I do, and so do you, or $2 million or $10 million or whatever your number is. $500,000, whatever your number is, you absolutely do. And so we're going to talk about some ways that we can shift our mindset. And now I'm going to tell you, I have 4 over $1 million listings in my pipeline right now. And that happened within the last 2 months. And it was because I shifted my mindset. And when I shifted my mindset, now I'm not afraid to make the call. Now I'm not afraid to have the conversation. And that's what changed everything for me. And it can change it for you too. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing is I want you to start becoming aware of the way you talk to yourself. And then I want you to think, would you be upset if someone said this to your child? And if you don't have children, think loved one, think parents, think siblings, think BFF. Replace child with something else. I picked child specifically because a lot of times it's our own little girl or our own little boy that's running the show. And so when we think about speaking to our children, it really brings it home how hurtful we are to ourselves sometimes. And it could be something as simple as, oh, damn, I always forget the keys. Or looking over there at my makeup table, which out of the corner of my eye I can see, and it's a mess. I'm like, oh, such a slob. Or I'm so disorganized, or my bills come in late and I'm like, oh, I'm such a mess. Anytime you say anything like that to yourself, it's programming your subconscious mind. Remember, what follows I am is coming to get you. And so I want you to start becoming aware of the things that you say. And then I want you to think, if someone said that to your child, how would it make you feel? And if it makes you feel not good or angry or sad, then stop saying it to yourself. And so we're going to turn that around and we're going to use affirmations to do it. So here's how, what we say is we turn negatives into positive. So if instead of looking over at my makeup desk and saying, I'm such a slob, I look over at my makeup desk and I'm like, I'm so creative, because I am. I'm always starting 50 million projects and then I don't pay attention to the details, but that's okay, because I hired someone to come in and clean up my mess so that I can be creative and do what I want to do. If I am forgetful because I leave my keys, I say, I'm so organized and I always remember my keys. Now, you might not really always remember your keys and you might be lying to yourself, but remember that your subconscious doesn't know the difference between true and false. Your subconscious doesn't have a filter. And so when you keep telling yourself over and over again, I'm so organized, I always remember my keys, eventually your subconscious is going to believe it. And then you're going to start to take actions that are going to make you remember your keys. Maybe one day you'll be shopping on Amazon or Etsy and you'll see a key rack and you'll say, oh, I'm going to buy that. And you hang it up and then you take action and you hang up your key. So I want everybody to think for a minute about something negative that they say about themselves and see if you can turn it into a positive. And if you want to share in the chat, you can. Or if you have something negative and you can't think of how to turn it into a positive, even if you're just asking for a friend, put it in the chat and we'll see if we can help you figure it out. And if you can't think of anything, just start paying attention to your mind chatter when you start talking to yourself and saying things. All right, we'll come back to the chat. And I see anybody in the chat. All right, so now we know what to say, but here's when to say it. Here are some ways that you can sneak affirmations into your schedule without spending a whole lot of time. One of the fun things is you can write them on Post-it notes and slap them all over your office, your car, your house. But if you live with other people and it's embarrassing, because I could totally understand that, you can do my favorite one, which is you can write it in the shower steam, because then nobody sees you unless somebody's in the shower with you, and then you shouldn't be worried about your affirmations. You should be doing something else. So if you write on the shower steam, you're writing your affirmations, you're training your subconscious mind, and then when you're done, you can just wipe it down so when the next person gets in the shower, they don't see it. Another one is you can change your password. So I saw somebody in the chat earlier wants to make $1 million. All your passwords can be $1 million 2023 or $1 million Maven, whatever it is, but change your passwords, because we have to type our passwords in 55 million times a day. And every single time you type in that password, you're going to be affirming to yourself and to the universe that you are $1 million maven. But before you do that, I want you to think about this, because this is huge. If you can make $1 million, you can make $2 million. And your money will fit the container that you create for it. So whoever wants to be a millionaire, how about we just automatically go a little bit bigger and say multimillionaire? That's not that crazy. And if you say, I want to be a multimillionaire, I am a multimillionaire, and that becomes your password, pick a number, 2 million, 3 million, pick the number and put it out into the universe. Because here's the thing about the universe, is that when we put something out for law of attraction, we say what we desire, what we want, and then we allow the universe to bring it to us. What we don't do is we don't question how the money is coming. So it could be a lottery win. It could be, I don't know, you Publishers Clearinghouse. It could be you sold a house. It could be earning at real estate. We don't know, and we don't care. So go big or go home. If you're going to go $1 million, go multi-million. You may as well. The next one is apps. I use an app called I Am, and there's a free version. I have the paid version because I like the extra fancy stuff, but I have it set so that every few minutes an affirmation pops up on my phone. It also pops up on my watch, and I look down, and I don't read every single one of them because I'm busy, but I read many of them a day. And it's a great way to shift my mindset from whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm stuck in, to a positive affirmation. And you can set all different themes. You can do law of attraction, you can do anxiety, you could do love, you could do romance. There's a million things that you can do, and it's a great one. And the next one is your screensaver. Make your screensaver multi-million dollar maven. Get it, go on Canva. It's free, it's easy, it's fun, and create a really cool wallpaper for your phone, for your iPad, for your computer, so that you see it all the time. You can also, I've done this in the past too, is you can add a bunch of things that you make on Canva to your photos on your computer, and then set it to be your slideshow so that you're seeing these things pop up on your computer all day long to keep reminding you of those. So if anyone has any other ways that they use affirmations, I would love to hear them. You could also just stand in front of the mirror and just say it to yourself. You can say it to yourself when you're stuck in traffic. You could have this little mantra running through your head, especially if you're doing something that you get nervous about. Like, let's say you have to make a call. This is a big one. I went on a listing appointment the other day with one of my agents. It's her lead, and she needed me to help her. She's on the newer side. And this guy has a multi-million dollar property for sale, a commercial space. And he's not sure he wants to sell it. So we had to follow up with him. So I reached out to her yesterday, my agent, and I said, I think you should call this guy and just check in on him. And she said to me, oh, I'm nervous. I don't know what to say. Can you do it? So I said, sure, I'll do it. This is probably like a $7 or $8 million listing that I still am battling, because deep down I'm like, I'm never going to get this listing. Like, this is how I feel. So I'm still battling this, even though I'm sitting here telling you how to get out of your own way. I'm in my own way. But the reality is, I could get this listing just as easily as anybody in this room could get this listing, because I'm just as qualified, and so are you. And so what I had to do is I had to sit down before I made this phone call, and I had to breathe, and I had to give myself some positive affirmations and say, taking an $8 million listing is same as taking a $500,000 listing. This guy is a human. I've had conversation with him, and I had to go through all of this stuff before I picked up the phone. And let me tell you this, I don't have it signed yet, but if anybody gets that listing, it's just as easily going to be me as the next guy, because I developed a relationship with him. I took a breath. I said to myself, I'm good enough. I'm strong enough. I'm smart enough, right? I did all the cheesy affirmations, but I said them in a way that I actually believed myself. And I took a breath. I even had to tap a little bit before I called him. But after I did it, it felt amazing. And how many times do you not follow up with somebody because you're afraid they don't want to hear from me? Has anybody ever done that? Because I know people do that all the time. And the reality is, you're not hurting anyone by following up. If you know they don't want to talk to you anymore, they're not going to answer the phone. But if you already have a lead and you already have a relationship with them and you don't follow up, you know what's going to happen? Somebody else will. And if the reason you're not following up is because you're busy, then you have to work on your systems. That's a whole other presentation. But if the reason why you're not calling is because you think they don't want to hear from you and you're sabotaging yourself, then you need to work on your mindset, because guess what? Somebody else is going to call that person and they are going to list, and then you're going to kick yourself because it could have been you. And that's why I say, get out of your own way. Doing these things can help you. Okay. More clear-headed, relax. Oh, wait. I always leave everything last minute. So let's turn that around. I'm spontaneous and organized. How about that? Leaving things to the last minute is spontaneous. Full disclosure, I started this presentation like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, but started it. I did the one slide that talked about the 5 things, nothing else. I finished it yesterday. And that's how I work. And it took me the longest time to stop beating myself up about that. And that's how I work. That's how I work best. And it always happens every time. It's okay. You love that app? Cool, cool. I'm always late. I'm a multimillionaire. I love that. Set an alarm on Alexa devices to play affirmations in the morning or before bed. Excellent. Thank you, Ivy. And oh, hi, Monique. I've done that. Yes, thank you. Okay, perfect. So I think that pretty much sums it up for today. Unless we have any questions, I'll open for Q&A with time. Yep, we're perfect timing. So just remember this seriously. You're unstoppable. You can be, do, or have anything you desire. It all begins with your mindset. And it is not linear. It is not do step 1, 2, and 3, and then you're done and you have everything you want. This is a constant growth and evolution over a lifetime. And you don't have to do all of these 5 things in exactly the way I said them in exactly the order every single day. You just do the things that work for you. And it's like they're gateway drugs. If there's anything new today that you saw that you never saw before, it's like a little thread. Once you pull on that thread, then you're going to start going down and finding more stuff and more modalities. And you'll see that everything changes for the better. Here's how to find me. If you need me, you can just scan that and it will give you access to all of my contact information and how to find me. So I'll leave that up for a minute. And then before we end, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Anyone? Hi, Stephanie. Thank you. I love you. I love all of you, but Stephanie said something really nice to me, so she gets a special shout out. See what happens when you say nice things to me in the chat. All right. Anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. I love you all for being here. And seriously, no matter what, even if your pipeline is empty, seriously, tumbleweeds going through it. Remember that you took the initiative to show up here today, to work on yourself and to better yourself. And that's got a lot of value. And that's all you need to do. You're welcome, Dawn. Thank you. And that's all you need to do is just try one little thing. Just try one little thing, and then the whole world will open up to you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody.